Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Spy Master Jimmy here, and today I'm sick. I'm very sick. And we're gonna be doing, because I felt like I wanted to share my pain with you all. We're doing a cold/flu symptoms tier list. So I'm gonna try my best to not sniffle and cough into the mic. If I do, I will try to cut it out. But without further ado, as someone who gets sick pretty often, I grew up with my own health issues. When I was a kid, I would get the worst sore throats. I got my tonsils removed when I was in 4th grade, along with my adenoids, which I still don't really know what they are. They're apparently something that you actually lose when you get older. I guess we just got rid of them because it was causing me so many problems. I would get sore throats every other week. We're gonna just kick things off here with the cold flu symptom tier list with difficulty breathing. I don't think I suffer with difficulty breathing when it comes to getting cold or flu that often. I can't think of a specific time that's happened. I know I've had difficulty breathing when it comes to getting COVID, so I can't say it's not fun to not be able to breathe. It usually isn't a problem for me, so I'm just gonna put it in the B tier. Because I have no opinion on difficulty breathing. Sneezing. So I'm currently suffering from sneezing right now. This usually happens after the sore throat part of being sick. It usually goes to sneezing for me. And I'm currently in that stage, is sneezing. So sneezing is not the worst. I mean, sneezing sometimes can feel good, let's be honest. When you're sick, sometimes it's really painful to sneeze. What's up, future me here editing this video? Sneezing, it gets worse over time. As I have learned, same goes with coughing. When you sneeze for a lot longer, your stomach starts to hurt, which my stomach is now sore from the amount of sneezing and coughing I've done over the last few days. So I would honestly move it up the tier personally after this experience. Luckily this time it's not painful to sneeze, but I know that sometimes when you're sick and your body's so congested, and when you try to sneeze, it just feels like you're about to, it's hard to explain, but it's not comfortable. So it really just depends on how sick you are. But I'm gonna put sneezing in C tier, because it really just depends on how you're sick. Because sometimes it can be really nice, because it's your body trying to clear up your nasal cavity. You're trying to be able to breathe. So sometimes that helps, and then sometimes it's just painful. So it really depends. Dehydration. Now, I love to drink water. I have my water bottle with me right now, and that reminds me to drink. If you're watching this, make sure you drink something. Dehydration. Now, drinking water is one of the most important things to do when you're sick, and I sometimes forget to do that. I don't really struggle though with it. When I'm dehydrated, I just drink water. Also, if you're wondering, the way I'm ranking these is S is things that really don't bother me. It's fine. I don't care about these symptoms. These symptoms do nothing for me. They're there, and I can easily avoid them, or they just don't bother me. And then F is the worst of the worst. That just kill me now. So dehydration, I'm just gonna put it in A, because obviously it's not gonna be fun when you're thirsty and maybe you can't get water, which I know sometimes you just can't get out of bed, you're so sick. But it's not hard for me because I just drink so much water. So I'm just gonna put it in A tier. Stuffy nose. Now this one, I think you can hear it in my voice. I'm currently stuffed up pretty bad. It usually happens pretty quickly for me, and I usually get pretty bad stuffed nose. So stuffy nose, it is one of the single most annoying things that you can get when you're sick. Personally, at least for me, it makes it so hard to sleep. I don't like mouth breathing when I'm sleeping, and that makes it really hard. So it makes sleeping really uncomfortable during the day. It just makes you sound kind of stupid. I have to blow my nose a lot. I have to sniffle a lot, which is hard for me, who, sometimes I try to work when I'm sick, but I do a lot of my work behind a microphone, and hearing me sniffle all day while I'm behind the mic is not a good way to do it. So stuffy nose, I have to put it at F, because it's not the most painful, or it's just annoying. It is the most annoying probably out of this whole list. I'm looking over the list right now. There's only one that would bother me more, and I'll get to that when we get there. So, stuffy nose, we're putting in F. Muscle fatigue. Muscle fatigue, I know, I get it. I had a little bit of it last night. It's not a big problem for me. It doesn't bother me too much. It's more, I don't even want to call it muscle fatigue. It's more of the joint pain that bothers me. And I don't think that's what this is, unless that is what this is. And I'm probably being stupid. I'm gonna consider muscle fatigue also being like the joint pain you get when you're sick. It's okay. I mean, obviously it's not okay. It's not fun, but it's not debilitating. It's very uncomfortable, sure. But if you're not doing much, if you're just trying to lay in bed, it's not gonna bother you too much. Especially if you're meted up on medication, it's gonna not be too much of a problem. So I'm gonna put this with dehydration in the A tier because it's really not too much of a debilitating thing. I know when I got COVID a few years ago, muscle fatigue was a really big one, and that was really uncomfortable because it's not just fatigue, it's pain. It makes it super hard to walk. But normal cold flu, it usually doesn't bother me that much. So tiredness. The problem with me is I'm always tired. You know, as someone who has ADHD and depression and anxiety, tiredness just comes with that. So tiredness, it doesn't bother me, and if I'm just staying home being sick, I'll sleep. Tiredness does not bother me. It's normal. So tiredness is just gonna go in the S tier because it doesn't do anything for me. Okay, sweating. Sweating is very annoying as someone who suffers from very oily skin and greasy skin and breaks out very easily. Sweating obviously helps make it so I break out more. I'm trying to wrap my brain around how I feel about sweating because it's not fun. I only really get sweaty when I have the flu and not the cold. When I think about when I'm sick, it goes from chills and then it's like a wave. You know, it's chills and then fever and that's when I start sweating, and then it goes back to chills. So it's not a huge problem for me. It's not fun. If you don't change your sheets, if you don't wash your sheets and clean your bed after you're sick, come on now, you got to do that. So either way, you're gonna have to clean your sheets. I'm gonna put it in the B tier because it's not. I mean, it's kind of middle of the line. It's not fun to have, but it's not debilitating. Runny nose. This one goes in with the sneezing / stuffy nose for me. I can't have a stuffy nose and then not have a runny nose, so that's just kind of how it is. I would much rather have a runny nose than a stuffy one, personally. Now, sleeping is a whole nother thing when it comes to this, because I like to sleep either face down or kind of like side, like this, or kind of lay on my side, and my nose will start running. So I had to just plug it up with tissues, but I can't breathe out of my nose anyways, so it's not too much of a problem. But runny nose is not fun. I think I'm gonna put that in the D tier because I think this makes sense for me, because sneezing is the least worrisome out of them. Difficulty breathing, that's not a problem for me too much. And then it goes runny nose and then stuffy nose. Stuffy nose is worse than runny nose in my opinion. Some people think otherwise. Loss of appetite. This doesn't bother me, honestly. I don't find too much discomfort out of the loss of appetite. Sometimes it makes me feel better that I'm not eating. I mean, obviously I have to eat something because, you know, when you're taking meds, you gotta take something with it. But honestly, it's just not that big of an issue for me personally. So we're just gonna move on, put that in the S tier because that doesn't bother me. So my arch enemy when it comes to being sick, a sore throat. Every time I get sick, it always starts with a sore throat. 2 days ago, right before I got sick, I was perfectly fine until that evening. I started to feel a little bit of discomfort in the back of my throat. I knew immediately I was gonna get sick. It always starts with the sore throat for me, and I don't know why, but that's just how my body's rewired. Maybe it's because I got my tonsils removed when I was a kid, and it just makes it so I get sore throats a lot easier. Sore throats are the bane of my existence. They are the worst pain. It's always happening. Whenever you're breathing, whenever you're swallowing, just it's so uncomfortable for me personally. Like I don't know if it's as bad as everyone else's, but for me personally, I get really bad sore throats. Like it turns purple. My throat turns purple, and it's just so painful. So easiest F tier of my life. I'm gonna put it in front of stuffy nose because I'd rather have a stuffy nose than a sore throat. Sore throat all day, every day is the worst symptom of a cold or flu. So, yeah, nothing more I could say about that. Okay, so we have wet cough and dry cough. I don't know for sure the complete differences. All right, to sum up everything that I'm about to talk about for wet cough and dry cough, while I'm editing this is a few days after, and I've gone through most of the symptoms now, and at this point in time, I was not really going through the coughing symptoms, but I'm now post cough and dry cough, and I'm kind of still in that. I'm gonna put them together into one, and say they are both F tier, because I forgot how bad of coughing fits I get. I've been getting the worst coughing fits, and like when you have that symptom going on, it's always there. And even when you take like a deep breath in, it tickles, down kind of your sternum, your diaphragm area, your lungs, and it irritates you, and you just need to cough. And no matter how much you cough, it does not help. It honestly just hurts more. You get that pain right in the middle of the chest, and it just hurts. My stomach I feel like I've been doing ab workouts for the past few days. My stomach is so tight just from the amount of coughing I've done. So to sum it up, I don't put it on the tier list because this is before I actually had it. Both wet cough and dry cough, I'm just gonna put them into one, and they're both an F tier. So now fever is never fun. It's when you get really warm, when you get really hot and sweaty, and this kind of goes along with the sweatiness aspect personally. Fever is just not fun to have. Usually it usually happens at night for me when I'm trying to sleep, and I just get so warm, and it's usually my fever breaking. It's not fun, never is. Probably gonna put it in the D tier because there's not many instances where I'm like, this fever's fine. When you're getting really hot, you're getting sweaty, and you're getting lightheaded, and it leads to dehydration because you're sweating so much because of the fever. So fever is kind of the catalyst for a lot of these symptoms, and it's just not fun. So D tier for that. So the next thing is post-nasal drip. I don't really understand post-nasal drip. This kind of feels the same to me as runny nose, except for it's kind of in the back of the throat. So you're just getting mucus going from your nose kind of to the back of your throat, and that can lead to coughing and stuff like that. I can't think of an instance where it's bothered me too much. I mean, obviously it's not fun, especially when you have a sore throat. That stuff going up against the back of your throat where it's hurting already is not going to make it fun, which, that's happened to me. But it's not a debilitating thing, so I'm going to put in C next to sneezing. Hey, me again. I know I talk about this a little bit, but it does turn out that post-nasal drip can hurt sore throats a lot more because of the acidity of your mucus coming down and kind of rubbing, irritating that sore throat. And since I already get really bad sore throats, I honestly think I should move that down to D tier just because of how bad my sore throat is and how much that actually affects it. That could be why I get really bad sore throats. So in hindsight, I'm gonna move post-nasal drip from C to D. Watery eyes. I can't really think of any point of time when I get watery eyes when I'm sick, unless I am having a coughing fit or I am just sneezing so much and stuff like that. So watery eyes as its own symptom, I can't think of any point where that's bothered me or it's just debilitating like that. So it's just gonna go in A tier because it doesn't bother me. And finally, the last symptom, headaches. Headaches suck. I think we can all agree that headaches suck. I know people who get them so much worse than I do. People who get migraines. I pray for you guys who get migraines. I can't imagine. I've gotten pretty bad headaches, but I don't think I've ever gotten a real migraine, and I know how debilitating it can be. So headache makes just your life so hard. It makes sleeping almost impossible. It makes coughing with a headache makes it feel like your head is throbbing and it's about to pop. It is so uncomfortable. Painful. Everything you do when you're sick, coughing, sneezing, stuff like that, it's gonna bother you when you have a headache, because any kind of pressure movement in your head, you're gonna feel it times 10. So headache really is it. I think I might go down with the F tier, because it really can just be the most uncomfortable thing, combining it with other symptoms. So this is my tier list for cold and flu symptoms, because I'm currently sick, suffering from some of these symptoms. You know, if you don't agree with my list and think something should be moved, please drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinion, but remember, this is just my opinion. Everyone suffers from illnesses differently, and I am not a medical expert. Anything I said, if I said any advice, do not take it. I am not an expert. I'm just giving my opinion on what it's like to be sick for me. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.